What's up, everyone? All right, well, here we are. It's Friday, and guess what? I'm finishing the week with 2 red days in a row. I was red yesterday, and I'm red today. This morning, on my first trade, I went up $500. And that, for me, is not a very good winner. It's a very small winner. And on my second trade, I went red about $3,500. So now I'm red on the day, and on my third trade, I was red another $5,000 for $6,000 or whatever it was. I was down $10,000 on the day. So from the low point of down $10,000, I thought, I don't even know if there's going to be a chance to recover. Now my daily max loss is still minus 25,000, but I've had that sort of really most of the year because that's been about my average daily gain. It's actually been about $32,000. But if you look at my average daily gain just for the last 6 weeks, it's been a lot smaller. So to lose 25,000 in one day would really be too much. So I knew I didn't want to lose too much more. So down 10,000, I said, all right, is there going to be any hope for recovery? And you know what? There was. I made $10,000 on a stock that popped up and squeezed up over 100%. And we had a couple stocks that made some nice moves. You've got Our, H-O-U-R, here that made a nice move, as you can see. But the one that really gave me the recovery was PAPL. But let's go back to the beginning of the day. First trade of the day was on INHD. This is a stock that moved up yesterday. You guys got a couple halts on it sort of later in the day, squeezed up, pulled back, popped up again, pulled back. So I took this trade right here at about 7:05 a.m. At that time, I thought it looked pretty good. I didn't see anything else that looked better. And I thought this looks good for second day continuation. So I jumped in and it just stalls out. So I made $500, but it was not a good trade. So then I'm sitting tight and I'm thinking, well, that's not great. Next stock pops up is CERO. And you can see this is the one I lost 10,000 on. CERO pops up with a headline, FDA grants fast track designation for treatment that they have. And this stock squeezes from 7 to 950 nearly, and then comes all the way back down. Let's look at it on the 1-minute chart. So on the 1-minute chart, I took my first trade getting in basically right here for the break of 9 and stopped out down here. So I was like, all right, that wasn't great. It curls back up and I got back in for the second attempt on the break of 9 and I stopped out a second time. Now that curl pattern has worked really well this week, but it did not work on this one. So I lost on it twice in a row, down 10,000. And from that low point, I began a recovery, and it did take a while. So PAPL didn't really start moving until almost the open. So I was sitting in the red pretty much all morning until PAPL started to pull away, and we got this squeeze at the open from 550, 560, up to 6, up to 650, up to 7. We got a halt, we got a dip and a rip, and I just kept buying dips and selling into the breakouts. And on that move right there, I made $10,000. I was like, finally, some momentum. Now, it got me back to green by $200 on the day. I also got a trade on MSPR. I also got a trade on Our. And Our, in spite of being a big move, I managed to lose on. So how did I lose on this? Well, on this one, it was a little choppy. It's definitely a grinder. I took a couple of trades on it. So the last trade I took was right up here, looking for the breakthrough 550. That didn't work. It was just, these candle wicks are so choppy. So I kept looking for the pullback and then rejection. And then it would go and I would try to get in for the push higher and it would just sort of stall out. I just found it to be really difficult to trade and difficult to time. So, it is what it is. At the end of the day, being down $300 is more or less a break-even day. In fact, I was looking back at my P&L from some of these bigger days. I was looking back on June and July, and I was just like, man, some of these days were like unreal. $219,000 in one day, $156,000 on another day. So, things obviously cooled off in August and kind of just kept, had that big red day on the first day of the month, and then just the rest was sort of smaller green days. Biggest green day of the whole month was 25,000. And, so now here we are in September and it's like, I'm not getting a lot of momentum. So it's basically a continuation of the slowness that we had in August. And, the switch hasn't flipped back on yet. I want it to. I can't wait for it to happen. We have had some momentum, but it's still been kind of lackluster. We haven't had like big catalysts driving things higher. And so it's been a grind. And I think I am a little frustrated, a little beat down from it, but I've got to be really careful that I don't, let that sort of flow into my trading too much. Because when you trade from frustration, you're right, you start getting emotional, you start getting stubborn, and that's when you can make some really big mistakes. Yesterday I made some big mistakes. So, yesterday was a red day. Today's a second red day. I don't like 2 red days in a row, but a day like today is, I guess you could say it's pretty negligible, but only just barely. I mean, I recovered on PAPL. If it weren't for that, I'd be down 10,000 on the day, 11,000 on the day. So, so first of all, I'm looking forward to the weekend. It gives a little time to decompress, just kind of take a break. And then coming back Monday morning, I'm gotta put out some sticky notes just as a reminder to go slow. It just I'm keeping myself today. I kept myself throttled back on small size, but small size, build cushion. And just remember that, just to take it slow. So I'm going to put that sticky note right there on my monitor. So it's the first thing I see when I log in on Monday morning. And, hopefully we can get some good catalysts. But, if we're not getting a catalyst, there's not much we can do. Now, right now, I do see PAPL curling up a little bit. This would be pretty epic if it ended up curling all the way back through 850. It does have room on the daily chart to 953. So, I could see that working, potentially. But it's sort of a question of, do I want to roll the dice at this kind of later hour of the day? And the answer is no. For right now, I just feel like I'm just going to call it. It is what it is. Being down $300 doesn't matter. I take a trade on this, and how much am I going to make? I'm not going to take big risks, so I'm not going to make big money. But, I could end up losing $1,000 or $2,000, and then the red day just gets a little bit bigger, and I get a little more frustrated, or maybe I start getting stubborn, and then I say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to buy 50,000 shares of this. And it either goes up 50 cents and I'm up 25 grand, or I'm down 25 grand. And you don't want to get yourself to the place where emotionally you're doing something like that because you just are so frustrated. So that's kind of the risk with continuing to trade, is you expose yourself to just being inflicted by more and more of these small paper cuts that eventually just get you so frustrated you do something stupid. So it's best to just get up, walk away, and live to trade another day. So I'll be back at it first thing Monday morning. So make sure you guys study up over the weekend, and I'll see you streaming 7 a.m. on Monday. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and practice in the simulator before putting real money on the line.